Kevin was the best closer in the building, so they promoted him to director. 6 months later, his team hates him, sales are dead, and he's drowning in reports. Kevin fell into a trap your company built on purpose. Here is exactly why the system promotes high performers to failure, and the exact two-question test you need to run before saying yes to your next promotion. In 1969, a researcher named Lawrence J. Peter published an observation about how hierarchies actually function. Not how they were designed to function, how they actually behave. His finding was this: in any organization, people are promoted based on their performance in their current role, not their predicted performance in the next one. The result is that every high performer keeps getting promoted until they land in a role where they are no longer high performing. Then the promotions stop. The institution has placed them at their level of incompetence, and there they stay. This is not a theory. This is a documented pattern across every industry that uses a management hierarchy to reward individual contributors. Week 1, Kevin was not managing, he was selling. He took over the calls of struggling reps because that was his reflex, that was what he knew. The reps watched him do the work they were supposed to be doing, and they learned one thing: Kevin doesn't trust us. Week 2, Kevin started checking in too often, not because he was overbearing by nature, because he had no framework for knowing if his team was on track except watching them. That is what micromanagement is, most of the time. Not cruelty, anxiety dressed in authority. Week 3, Kevin missed a forecast deadline. He had never missed a deadline in 4 years. But the forecast required aggregating information from 6 reps, 2 of whom weren't updating the CRM, and 1 of whom had been on performance review since before Kevin took the role. Kevin had no process for any of it. He had always been the information. Now he needed to collect it. Week 4, 2 of his strongest reps updated their LinkedIn profiles to open to work. Kevin saw the notifications. Here is the mechanism the institution never explains. Kevin was not promoted because the company believed he would be a great manager. Kevin was promoted because the company had a management vacancy, and Kevin was the highest visible individual contributor. Those are 2 entirely different reasons. The institution used the signal it had, his performance as a seller, to fill a role that requires an entirely different set of skills. Coaching, delegation, conflict navigation, strategic patience. None of those skills were tested before he was placed in the role. The 10% figure is not a warning the company posts on the offer letter. The data on this transition is consistent. Roughly 1 in 10 top individual contributors who move into management perform at the same level in the new role. The institution knows this. The institution promotes anyway. Why? Because the alternative is worse for the institution. If Christine offers Kevin a compensation increase without a title change, he eventually leaves for a competitor. The management track is the only progression ladder most companies have built. It was not designed for Kevin. It was designed for organizational headcount. Kevin is the incentive structure that makes headcount work, and here is what seals it. Once Kevin is in the role, neither he nor the institution can easily admit it is not working. A demotion signals failure. Kevin's ego, the institution's optics, the team's stability, all of them are better served by staying the course. So Kevin stays, anxious, underpowered, occupying a seat that is now blocked for someone who might actually want to manage. The institution created the problem. The institution also benefits from not solving it too visibly. Kevin knew the statistic existed. He had never applied it to himself. There are 2 questions every promotion conversation asks. The institution asks one of them. You need to be asking the other. The institution asks, does this person perform well enough in their current role to justify moving them? That question is about the institution's need. The question you need to ask is different. It is, do I have the skills, the context, and the safety net to succeed in the next role, or am I being offered a title in exchange for leaving the role where I have actual leverage? Those are not the same question, and only one of them was about you. Here is the dual-track protection framework. Track 1, skills audit before you accept, not confidence, not enthusiasm, a cold inventory. List the 5 core competencies of the management role on offer: coaching underperformers, forecasting with incomplete data, running performance reviews, managing up to leadership, navigating team conflict. For each one, answer 2 questions. Have you done this before, and do you have a specific example of doing it well? If 3 or more of the 5 come back empty, you are being asked to learn the job in public, at full accountability, with no training budget attached to the offer. That is a different negotiation than the one being presented. Track 2. Protection clause before you sign. Negotiate a structured 90-day evaluation period before the promotion becomes permanent, not a formality. A written checkpoint with defined success metrics agreed in advance. If the metrics are not hit, the option to return to your previous role or a lateral equivalent remains open. Most companies will not proactively offer this. Most companies will agree to it if asked directly, because the alternative is losing you entirely. The clause is not an admission that you expect to fail. It is an acknowledgement that the institution is asking you to take a risk on their behalf. The clause makes the risk bilateral. Kevin had no track 1. He ran no track 2. He accepted on instinct and optimism. 6 months later, he is managing a team that doesn't trust him, missing deliverables he doesn't know how to control, and calculating whether he can step back without it destroying what he spent 4 years building. The institution got what it needed. Kevin funded it. The Peter Principle is not a cautionary tale about one bad hire. It is a description of how the machine works. High performers get pulled upward into roles that consume the exact skills that made them valuable. The machine does not stop to ask whether the move serves them. The machine asks whether the move serves the machine. The framework does not make the promotion safer for the institution. It makes the risk visible to you before you agree to carry it alone. If you want to understand the other side of this, why the performance review you walked out of last month was already written before you walked in, watch this next.